Got a bit of an update in the Charlie Kirk upcoming Tyler Robinson trial, and it's more bad news for Tyler Robinson. Tyler Robinson's lover has turned state witness. You may have heard because you've probably been following this channel. I've been following this case very closely, but Lance Twiggs was offered limited immunity to basically turn on his boyfriend. Now, there were a lot of reports that he was involved in some post-assassination shenanigans, such as potentially meeting up with him to give him a change of clothes. Stuff. We don't even really know if that happened for sure, but we know it was a part of the planning. I also definitely 100% believe that Lance Twiggs knew that this was happening. Leave a like on the video if you believe that Lance Twiggs knew that this was going to happen. I believe he did. I believe the note, the Discord messages, the text, the phone calls were all sent in an effort to protect Lance Twiggs. I believe he was deeply involved in the planning. That's what I think. I can't prove it. I don't know, but I know. And obviously I astral projected it. But the Charlie Kirk judge has made a huge decision about Lance Twiggs' testimony before the trial, and it's not good for Tyler Robinson. If you're one of the seemingly few idiots like me that believe Tyler Robinson did this, it's bad news. A Utah judge overseeing the trial of the man accused of taking Charlie Kirk's life has now ruled that his trans lover does not have to testify in person at the preliminary hearing. Judge Tony Greff made the ruling yesterday morning, determining that it is unnecessary for Lance Twiggs to testify live at the Tyler Robinson's preliminary hearing on July 6th. Now, I think that's actually bad. I want him on the stand because I believe that he was involved in the planning. I believe that he was a co-conspirator. And I just dreamt it last night, but that's what I believe. And what they wanted to be able to do was cross-examine him after he gave what is obviously damning testimony against Tyler Robinson. Here's the actual video of Tyler Robinson's defense team getting the bad news. I do want to remind people, I know I've given you a break on coffee, and I will give you a break for the rest of the week on it, but it's Prime Day, so I'm hoping we can have a big day over at Coffee Brand Coffee. If you go to buycbc.com, it takes you directly to our Amazon store. We're a very, very small team, extremely small team, and we're trying to compete with the big boys out there. We roast our own blends. You can't get these blends anywhere else. We stand by our product. And for Prime Day, I've marked our hot butter rum down 50%, which is apparently not even enough to get a Prime Day notification. You have to discount it like 80% or something like that, but I can't do that. I'm already losing crazy money at 50%. But I will remind you, if you already like our coffee, you can sign up for Subscribe and Save. They'll save you another $1 a bag, and you don't have to worry about reordering it. It also helps us immensely because at the beginning of every month, I know exactly how many bags I need to roast, and I can keep our inventory levels at the minimum so that you're only getting the freshest possible product. And if you're a part of that insane wave of buyers over the past 2 weeks and you've gotten your coffee, please come back. By the way, if you haven't tried our Kona, it's 100% pure Kona. Give it a try. It's a splurge. It's not an everyday coffee unless you're a rich guy or gal, but you got to try it. I think we have the best Kona available on Amazon. But if you already have it, please do come back to the item you bought. Scroll down and write a customer review. Now here's the video.
So under findings, the preliminary hearing is limited to determining probable cause and is not a discovery device. The state is constitutionally permitted to rely on reliable hearsay to establish probable cause.
So the big thing with this probable cause hearing, which is the next big court date, I believe it's going to be in July. His defense team has been trying to delay. They're trying to get all sorts of testimony thrown out because they don't want the world to know just what a ghoul Tyler Robinson really was and probably what Lance Twiggs was. They know they're going to lose this case. They know that I'm telling you, once this trial comes, we're going to live stream the trial, of course. But once the evidence comes out, there will be no doubt that Tyler Robinson pulled the trigger. Now, whether or not you believe there were other people involved, I'm willing to think about that. I'm willing to have that discussion because I believe there were other people involved. Do I think it was a B cult? No, not really. Do I think there were Mario and Luigi tubes underneath the site that people traveled in? No. Do I believe that there were people that knew that it was going to happen that day? Yes. There were multiple comments that seemed to have prior knowledge to the attack. There was a book released on Amazon before the assassination ever even happened titled The Assassination of Charlie Kirk. Right? Those questions, I don't know. I can't say that's what the court hearing is for.
The record presently before the court that the proposed examination is directed primarily toward credibility, bias, reliability, and impeachment rather than toward evidence likely to negate probable cause. Applying Rule 14A2's reasonableness requirement in light of the limited purpose of a preliminary hearing and the authorities discussed above, defendant has failed to identify specific anticipated testimony.
Get wrecked. So what he's saying is they failed to make a case to hold out the mountains of evidence, like the Discord chats and all these kind of people,
that is reasonably likely to negate probable cause as distinguished from anticipated impeachment that would merely create competing credibility inferences. Therefore, enforcement of the subpoena is not warranted on the present record. Based off the foregoing analysis and findings, the court issues the following order. It is hereby ordered that the defendant's application for certificate of attendance of out-of-state witness is respectfully denied.
Get wrecked.
The state's motion to quash the subpoena is granted. It is further
Get wrecked.
ordered that this denial is without prejudice and subject to renewal because probable cause determination
Getting kind of upset there, defense team.
is necessarily dependent upon
We'll
evidence
cross those arms. Yeah, you're big mad.
actually presented. This denial is without prejudice. If the state's presentation materially differs from the proffer presented before the court, or if defendant can identify specific testimony reasonably likely to negate probable cause, defendant may renew the request.
Okay.
And that is the order of the court.
Basically, they said, look, as long as the prosecution does not, if they veer off what they've said they're going to do, maybe you can go back again and, renew their complaints, but they can't. But also, later this week, you're definitely going to want to keep an eye on this. The judge in the Charlie Kirk case now has delayed the contempt of court ruling until this Friday with death penalty eligibility possibly imbalanced. That's one other thing that we don't know. So we know that the defense team knows they're going to lose this case. We know this based on how they're acting. They're trying to delay the trial. They're trying to throw out evidence. These are kind of normal things. The delays are a little subnormal. But the fact that they're trying to remove capital punishment from this knows that they know that they're going to lose. The entire purpose of this defense team is basically folds down to two things. One, to protect the trans community. I have no doubt at all. No doubt at all. I have no doubt at all that they are heavily worried about how this will reflect on the trans community. We know this from Tyler Robinson's choice of ties. We know this from the large-boned white liberal women he hired to defend him. We know how this works. We know. We know that they know they're going to lose. We know that they know that it's important to Tyler Robinson to protect his trans boyfriend. Now, he may feel differently now that he testified against him. He may now feel differently about the trans community. It'd be pretty interesting after, a year in lockup, how Tyler Robinson feels about the trans community that convinced him to commit this crime. We know that. And we also know that the other aspect of this is simply to try to get capital punishment off the table, which they shouldn't do. If they wouldn't be so worried about the death penalty if they thought they were going to win this case. That's just my opinion. It came to me in a dream. I astral projected it. The math ain't mathin'. The vibes ain't vibing. But that's what I believe. Now, the Utah judge in the case, instead of deciding, so they tried to say, oh, well, the prosecution talked to TMZ, so we should remove the death penalty. No, that's not how this is going to shake out. I can guarantee you on Friday, he's going to deny that. But he moved it to Friday. And Monday's hearing, instead of deciding on the violation issue during the ruling on Monday in the case against Tyler Robinson, Judge Tony Graff set a Friday morning hearing to address it. At the hearing earlier this month, Robinson's attorneys argued comments made to several media outlets by Christopher Ballard, one of the prosecutors and spokesperson for Utah County's Attorney's Office, violated the judge's order issued in September. Doesn't matter. The defense then tried to use this weird gotcha to remove the death penalty. That's not going to happen. The contempt accusation stemmed from comments about ballistics evidence saying that, yes, they basically corrected fake news. That's all this was. They're going to get more bad news on Friday, almost certainly. The prosecution is allowed to present hearsay evidence in the preliminary hearing, as is the standard in preliminary hearings. None of this is outside of the normal type of stuff. I think Lance Twiggs' testimony against Tyler Robinson's will be the nail in the coffin. I know the lapel mic somehow fit a 30-06 in it and fired it, and there was no markings of an explosion on his shirt at all, but Candace Owens' moron viewers believe that. That didn't happen. The mic was still intact. Everybody knows that. Everybody can see that, but yet, you can't convince a cult member. Getting people to leave a cult is very hard. Hopefully the trial does do that, and we'll keep you up to date. So make sure you leave a like on the video, you subscribe or follow wherever you're watching this, and we'll see you in the next segment.